Hello, everybody. Welcome to an episode of InfoWars Press. This is not something I normally would do a video about, but it does pertain to propaganda, and it's something that is coming up a lot lately, and that's freedom of speech. What is freedom of speech? Does it allow you to say absolutely anything you want, regardless of how it affects other people? No. And people will point to the U.S. Constitution in the United States in particular. Many countries have these same constitutional rights guaranteed, such as Russia, India, the UK. But it doesn't apply to every word that you speak. In fact, not all of your speech is legally protected by the U.S. First Amendment or any other country's right of free speech. Rather, it applies to certain forms of expression, which include written works, online posts, movies, television, symbolic speech like wearing an armband, donating to political campaigns, or liking something on social media. So essentially, freedom of speech protects you from government censorship, not how somebody reacts to what you've said. Federal, state, and local governments are not allowed to censor you, and neither are lawmakers, elected officials, public schools, public universities, courts, police officers. However, private citizens, private institutions, private organizations, and businesses do not need to abide by this law because they are not in the government sector. So, does it mean that YouTube can censor what you say on their platform? Absolutely. Can Facebook, Twitter, these guys censor what you say? Yes. They can't do it at the behest of a government organization, but they themselves can do it because they're private business and are not covered by the First Amendment. A private school can suspend a student for their opinion, for example, or a media company can choose to only broadcast things that align with their personal beliefs. Both are allowed to do so because they're privately owned and operated. Now, what's not protected by free speech for you as an individual? Well, you are not allowed to speak about things like threatening others, threatening to cause harm, blackmail, defamation, child pornography, or anything related to children is not protected by First Amendment speech. Solicitation to commit crimes or encouraging people to commit crimes or showing them how to commit crimes, that can be censored, and there are laws against it in most countries in the world. Incitement of lawless action, plagiarism, perjury, libel, slander, all of these things are not allowed by the First Amendment in the United States or in other countries. Many countries have laws against this, and they're specifically written, and they're based on the UN's Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And I'll read that for you in a second. This is Article 30 of the Declaration of Human Rights. But India has such laws. It is illegal in India to make immoral statements or disrespectful statements towards another. Russia has similar laws. You cannot make defamatory statements against the military. They have similar laws about towards other people. You have to show respect. And this article says, nothing in this declaration may be interpreted as implying for any state, group, or person has any right to engage in any activity or to perform any act aimed at the destruction of the rights and freedoms set forth herein. And this does restrict things like your freedom of speech. It is kind of in an abstract way, but the clause does apply to freedom of speech because freedom of speech is a fundamental right to the proper functioning of a democracy. It is itself subject to restrictions of both types in different legal texts to safeguard that same democracy. How does a country or a community function properly? It is by people having respectful debate. When you threaten other people, you're not going to have respectful debate. It's anarchy at that point. But if you can sit down, you can disagree about things, you can discuss them, maybe learn other points of views, or even agree to disagree in a respectful manner. That's what is meant by free speech. Now, the United States does not have these laws laid out saying your right to free speech has to follow the UN Article 30. And it's unfortunate that they don't. However, they have case law that supports this. But there is a dilemma. Freedom of speech as a fundamental right for proper functioning of a democracy where everyone has the right to express themselves, or limit or restrict expression that may jeopardize that same democracy. So, you have to be respectful of other people. That's really what it comes down to. Just, to stay within the boundaries defined by the Constitution itself, you can't do that. You have to go beyond the case law to UN human rights. And, you have to be considerate of other people. So, another thing to look at is the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. And this is in the 19th and 20th articles. The 19th article says, everyone shall have the right to freedom of expression. That right shall include freedom to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas of all kinds, regardless of frontiers, either orally, in writing, or in print, in the form of art, or through any other media of his or her choice. The exercise of the rights provided for in the previous paragraph, paragraph 2 of the article, carries with it special duties and responsibilities. It may therefore be subject to restrictions, but they shall only be such as provided by law and are necessary for the respect of the rights or reputations of others and for the protection of national security or public order or public health or morals. Article 20 says any propaganda for war shall be prohibited by law. I think we have some Western governments who need to learn from that. And any advocacy of national, racial, or religious hatred that constitutes incitement to discriminate, hostility, or violence shall be prohibited by law. And the difference between opinion and speech hatred could not be more clear and distinct. An opinion is protected by law by the right of freedom of speech. Let's have the European Convention on Human Rights, and it's real explicit in this matter. Article 10, Section 2, the exercise of these freedoms, since it carries with it duties and responsibilities, may be subject to such formalities, conditions, restrictions, or penalties as are prescribed by law and necessary in a democratic society in the interests of national security, territorial integrity, or public safety, for the prevention of disorder or crime, for the protection of health or morals, for the protection of the reputation or rights of others, for preventing the disclosure of information received in confidence, or for maintaining the authority and impartiality of the judiciary. So, free speech does not cover everything you say. Be respectful of others when you give your opinion And if somebody tells you that they do not welcome your input or your opinion on something, you have to respect that as well. So that's all I have to say on this subject.